In my previous video, I shared with you how to send information from one view controller to another view controller. And in our example, we were sending information forward from view controller 1 to view controller 2. In this video, I'm going to share with you how to send information back from view controller 2 to its previous view controller. And the example I will use is the same example that we did in our previous video. The way it works is that we have table view and we have two items. And when we tap on item 1, for example, Swift developer blog, we take the URL and we send information forward to the second view controller. Now, in this video, we will wait for web page to load. And then as soon as it loads, we will send information backwards to the previous view controller, and we will update the table view and mark the URL that was viewed with a label viewed. And the same for for each cell. So again, in our previous example, we did an example that sends information forward from view controller 1 to view controller 2, and in this video we will do an example that sends information backwards from view controller 2 to its previous view controller. And the way we send information back is a little bit different than when we send information forward. We will need to implement protocol, and then our first view controller will need to conform to that protocol. So I will implement a very simple protocol that will have only one function, and I will do it right inside of our display view controller. And the way we do it, we simply type protocol and then we give it a name. For example, I will call my protocol my protocol. Like, it can be any other name. I'll choose as simple. And inside of this protocol, we will declare one function, and I will call it set viewed URL, and it will accept viewed URL, which is going to be of type string. And of course you could declare this protocol in a separate file, but I like to declare it inside of the class that holds it. Okay, so once we have protocol, we will need to declare a new variable inside of our second view controller, which will hold this protocol, and I will also name it my protocol, and it's going to be of type my protocol. Okay, so now we have a protocol, and that protocol defines one function, but the implementation of this function needs to be done in the view controller or the class that conforms to that protocol. So I will make my first view controller to conform to that protocol by typing a comma and then specifying the name of the protocol. And our Xcode tells us right away that this class will not compile until it will conform to the protocol. So I will go to our protocol definition and call this function. I will copy this function, and I will scroll down the first view controller, and at the end, just before the closing curly brackets of the class, I will implement the body of this function. Okay, so now the error should go away, and while we are here in the first view controller, one important step that we need to do here is that when we instantiate display view controller, we now need to let it know which view controller conforms to that protocol. So I will reference to the instance of display view controller, and I will reference its object my protocol, and I will let it to be equal to self or view controller, because our first view controller conforms to the protocol, and it is a first view controller that implements the body of this function, set view controller. Okay, so we've implemented protocol, and now we can go to our display view controller and continue with the rest of the functions. Now, in our task, we need to wait for a web page, for web view to complete loading. And the way we can do it is we will need to make our display view controller to conform to another protocol, and it's from UIWebViewDelegate. If I hold Command button on my keyboard and click on UIWebViewDelegate, it will open a protocol with the functions that I can implement. And the one I'm looking for is WebViewDidFinishLoading. So if I implement this function, it will be called as soon as the web page finishes loading. So I don't need this public. And here we go. So as soon as a web page finishes loading, we need to take the URL that was loaded and send it back to our first view controller. And the way we will do it is we will reference the protocol, and we will call our function setViewedURL, and we will send it, we'll pass to it as an argument selected URL. So this is how we pass information from our second view controller, which is display view controller, back to our first view controller, which implements or conforms to this protocol. So if we go back to our first view controller and scroll down to the function that will be called, this function will accept a parameter which is going to be URL. And we need to remember this URL. And because there are multiple URLs that will be sent, we will need to remember it, and we will need to implement an array. So I'll create a new array of strings, and this is going to be an empty array of strings. I'll call it viewed URLs equals, it's going to be array of strings. And before I store data in this array, I need to check if this URL is not already in our array. So I'll use if statement, and I will reference my viewed URLs, and if I want to check if this array contains the viewed URL. So if it does not contain, only then I will append this URL to an array. But if it already contains, then do nothing. Okay, so this should store the URL into our array. The next step that we need to do is when our table view loads, we need to check that if this cell, if the URL that is relevant to this cell has been viewed, then set it as viewed. Otherwise, set it as not viewed. So, and the data type of this cell, the type of this cell is going to be a bit different. So I'll go to main storyboard, and then I will select the cell. So this is my first view controller, and this is my table view. So I'll find my table view cell, and I'll open Utilities Inspector, and under the table view cell style, I will switch to subtitle. So now my cell has title and subtitle. I'll go back to first view controller, and inside of cell for row at index path, this is where we dequeue and create cells. I will check, I will reuse the script that I have here. So I will need to check if viewed URL contains URL for the index path row. If the URL for this cell is inside of our array, then we need to reference to this cell and set its detail text label text to viewed, to hard-coded string value viewed. Otherwise, we will set it to an empty string. Okay, otherwise do nothing. Okay. I think we're almost done here. So I would like to run this example and see how it works. But before that, I'll send some breakpoints. I'll send a breakpoint to the function on the function that sets view controller. I'll set the breakpoint on the if condition, and I will set a breakpoint on the function WebViewDidFinishLoading so that I see that my web page finished loading, and this is it. And now we'll run and see how it works and if there is something that I have missed. So I'll use iPhone 5, run it. Okay, so table view is being populated, and self-overwrite index path is being called, and because our array of viewed URLs is empty, the detailed text label is set to empty string. So I'll just play it. So far so good, and then I will tap on apple.com. Web page is being loaded, and it did not trigger our function, which it was supposed to. WebViewDidFinishLoading did not trigger. Let's go back to main storyboard and make sure that we did set a delegate for this function. And so I will select the web view, hold Control button on my keyboard, click, drag, and drop it to this view controller yellow button. And once I don't see the dot here, so if I select the delegate, it will set a white dot on this, showing us that it's connected. So now once we have the delegate connected on UI storyboard, I will go back to display view controller and double check, yes, I have UIWebViewDelegate set here, so now it should work. I will run this application again, play this, okay, and tap on apple.com, wait, yes, so WebViewDidFinishLoading was called, so I'll just play it. Now our set viewed URL function is called, and it shows that the array of viewed URLs is empty, does not contain URL that was passed to it, apple.com. So I'll just play it. Here we go. So I go back, and I don't see anything with my table view, and this is because it needs to be reloaded. So what I will do, I will stop my application, and I will go back to my first view controller that has the table view, and inside of view did appear, I will override a new function, and that will be view did appear. I will put one more line of code, view did appear animated. So as soon as that view appears, I will need to make sure that again, I will reuse this if statement. I will need to check that if actually I'll do it the other way around. I will check if my viewed URLs array is not empty by checking the count of its items. So if my viewed URLs array is not empty, I will reference to my table. Okay, I don't have an outlet from a table. I'll need to create it. Let's go back to main storyboard, and I will select the table view controller. I mean, this is our first view controller, and I will hide panels I don't need, and I'll open it in Assistant Editor. Okay, so this is my This is, I will select first view controller. So this is the Swift class that is responsible for this user interface. And I will select table view, hold control button on my keyboard, click, drag, and drop it right here. And that needs to be an outlet, and I will call it my table view. So I'm creating a new outlet for table view so I can reference it. Now I have my table view, and inside of view did appear if our array of URLs, viewed URLs, is not empty, I can reference my table view and I can reload its data. So now if we run this application, let's see how it works. So I'll play it. And I will probably disable debugging now. The way I disable debugging is simply by clicking on this blue dot, icon so that it's not triggered. Just play it. Okay, so we have table view loaded. I click on Apple.com, Apple.com is loaded, go back, Apple.com is updated, table view is reloaded, and I see that this URL was loaded. I click here, page is loaded, go back, and it's viewed. And I do that again and again. So everything is working, no errors. Okay, and this is it for this video, which demonstrated how to send information backwards from view controller 2, which is in our case this web view, display view controller, back to view controller 1. And the way we did it is by implementing a protocol. And I hope this video was helpful.